Welcome to Techcentric Planet, where we offer a glimpse to the future of humanity through the lens of technology.
We've sought out innovators and founders who are interested in providing solutions to some of our most fundamental human-centric problems with a view to help our planet.
I'm Mary Beth Hosking, and my co-host, the incisive Professor Martin Parr.
On this episode, we have Julia Bakay, who will be talking about her adaptation of keynote artistry and remote graphic recording. Welcome, Julia.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's lovely to have you on board. So Julia, tell us about your innovation and how it will help society and the planet.
Okay, well, so graphic recording is, it has been around since the 70s, but it's one of these things that very little known, yet there are companies who use it, who've been using it for 50 years and value it very much. It's about going to a conference or a workshop or an event and real-time illustrating the conversations and the key takeaways. Now, this is to engage the attendees and give them something valuable to take away. And so the way I do it is all digital. So I use a tablet to do this and project my artwork on the wall, as opposed to, a big piece of paper that people who do the analog form use. And I do all of this remotely, which means that even if it's a massive conference with everyone in person, I can tune in remotely and I can do the capturing, and they can still see my artwork in the room, if that makes sense. Now, how this helps the planet, it's amazing though, because I join conversations in every sector, and there's just so much talk about sustainability, whether it's finance or education, or I went to a fashion show last week, and it was all about sustainability. And I think the fact that I don't need to travel to all of these events is just invaluable. I couldn't actually, see my family if I went to every event I'm invited to. And I think graphic recording in general, by capturing and sharing the insights from conferences and really good panel discussions, is in some way definitely, helping society, because whatever happens at an event doesn't just stay there, but this is an engaging way to pass it on.
Keeps the conversation going,
yes.
doesn't it? It makes it so that how often we've been somewhere and we want some key takeaways, and to be able to capture that great idea in its embryonic stage pictorially, I think there's something in that. And the fact that you don't have to fly in and out of all these different events is sustainable in itself, isn't it? And I think that there's something in that.
Yeah.
So I really wonder, so there's the analog, and then you've obviously taken it to the digital. So why did you decide to go to the digital space? Was it really just to sort of save the flights, or was it? What was it? What was that?
No, so it really during the pandemic, obviously a lot of graphic recorders had to figure out, like, okay, how do we do this now, because in-person conferences are out. So everyone started experimenting with the digital forms. And although a lot of people went back to analog because they like the markers and they like the paper, but I come from an artist background, so for me, just what's possible with digital tools, it's still hand drawn, but I get to use my clients' brand colors and different brushes and textures, and what I can do real time on a tablet is just incredible for me. I just can't give that up, because I'm deep inside, I'm an artist, so I really value that. And then, as I said, the remote means that I can then join so I couldn't do remote really if I stuck to analog. So
I get that, but I also, what I love is the fact that you've got this, you've used the technology. And instead of like some people, organisations will be sitting there going, oh, we could just use AI that, we just use some AI. But what you're actually getting is the speaker or the keynote's interpretation of a topic, and then your interpretation of the keynote or the panelists' interpretation. And then so it's kind of like Inception is that next step into the next, and you can do that live, and you can also do that across multiple nations. multiple events. And then I would suspect that there would be those moments of, oh, I've sat in on this tech conference, and then over here and I'm hearing this, and then suddenly you start to be able to bridge the gaps between that conference and those interpretations, and then there's a new one. And I think that there's something in that, whereas if it was analog and I could only be at 10 conferences, I would miss all of that richness, which you don't have to worry about, because you're actually at all of the conferences because you can do it virtually. And I think that there's something in that.
That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, if it was an analog, obviously my colleagues would like fly everywhere, and it's still, but might be a bit less global as my reach with the virtual space. And you're right, like the knowledge and the insights are so transferable. I really now that I've been joining conferences and events for over 5 years in so many different sectors, like, for example, from sanitation, and then, as I said, education, and health a lot in the healthcare industry. And so it's interesting to see that they're actually very often struggling with the same thing. And the topics are, change year by year, but they are parallel.
The global issue is still there, and it hasn't really been addressed yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is, as Mary Beth said, you've got that wonderful sort of helicopter view of such a number of sectors, and I think that's just fascinating. I think the other thing about the work that you do, Julia, is that it's just so easy to absorb. When you look at those beautiful pictures, it's so much easier to absorb than any kind of written form. You can walk, the eye walks through some of those pictures, and you just get it. It's brilliant. So,
oh, I'm glad. Yeah, I hope one day this will be in the curriculum, and we'll teach this to children, visual note taking, because that's how I learn. So,
It's absolutely, it's really important. So, what hurdles did you face when you were developing this?
Well, one of them is really just educating people on what I do, because it's a bit abstract in itself that, I join conferences and I draw, and then they're like, ooh, like in court. And I'm like, no, I don't draw them. I draw what they say. And then when I tell them that it's digital and virtual, it's just, I lose a lot of people. So thank you for allowing me to talk about it. And then finding the right software and hardware initially, it's nice because everything's gotten so much better that the problems I had 5 years ago, lagging or flickering, it's all gone. So it's quite reliable now. It's amazing. And I do feel, and I think you might be able to relate to this, that people still want you to be in the room, even if you don't actually need it for the work you're doing. I think I can do the same, I can deliver the same quality from my studio, if not better, because I can focus more. But still, they're like, oh, but we want you in person. And I think a lot of coaches and therapists and consultants, everyone's facing this, that they know that they could do the work they do remotely, but there's this demand for, we do still want you in person. So that's something to just gain their trust that you can, do the same.
Yeah, it's very a classic problem, isn't it? That people reach for what they know, and there's that sort of trust. There's a greater trust needed remotely than there is, to have someone in person. Because if nothing else, there's the trust that if you see the person arrive the night before the conference, you know that they're there. Whereas if you're waiting for them to join online, there's that sort of moment of let's just hope that it all works. And so I do understand that. What is really interesting is to hear the passion that you have when you talk about the technology, because I could well imagine sort of people who've got used to drawing sort of by hand on paper, kind of getting to a point of, oh, is this technology between me? And it's really wonderful to hear that actually you wouldn't go back. You wouldn't go back to being in-person drawing, even if you could. You said that the technology is actually helping you a lot, which is great. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's interesting actually how hard it is to draw on a tablet. It took me months to learn, because it just, just slides much more. It's, I don't know if you've ever tried drawing on glass, but it's like that.
I've tried to do my signature on a tablet. Don't even get me started.
Yeah. So although it's hand drawn, but it's very different feel to the paper. Even with these, paper like foils and everything you can put on an iPad, it's still. To this day, I sometimes have to redraw things like early morning. Just warm my hand up because you have to get used to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that. Oh, sorry, Martin. Go on.
No. I was going to say, I think it's great. I think it's it's good to have that. As you say, that so you've got you're sort of in harmony with your technology. I just wanted to ask one more thing. Sorry, Mary Beth. I'll let you. But what would you have done differently? What would you change?
It's more on when you set up a business and you realize how many things you need to learn how to do, and marketing, sales, and I feel like and for some of us those things don't come naturally and you don't really want to do it, and I think it took me years to just embrace that part, like I'll actually have to do the sales and the marketing because that's how you have a business. And so obviously this is you can relate to this.
Very much.
Absolutely. What's creative in that side of it? I think that's the pain, and I guess that leads beautifully onto mine, which is so there would have been naysayers. There would have been all of your peers that are pen to paper or whatever. So what did the naysayers say about this, and how did this help to, I guess, push you on to continue down this technological pathway?
Well, the community itself is a very supportive one. I really love them. The graphic recording facilitating community. It's I always said that my family used to be like, oh, so how's your doodling going? So it's more people who don't understand what we're doing, who might not understand the value of it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, thanks. I just bought a house. It's going really well, the doodling. But the other one is just being an artist in the 21st century, with like AI coming in, and it's just a lot of confusion around that, like what will be the future of human art. And I think this could be a great pathway for many if they decided to switch from, being illustrators, if they have the skills to become live illustrators. That's something that AI is not yet able to do at our level. And if more companies embrace this human side of this, bring some extra spirit into their events. So it's just being an artist and how the landscape will change for us. I think that's a bigger challenge than people trying to hold us back. We're just all looking like, ooh, okay.
I think you're right there, because AI, yes, you can give it instruction and say, hey, draw this for me. But as I said before, it is your interpretation of what somebody is speaking about. Now, AI will listen and it will hear those words, but will it be able to interpret the nuance, the brevity, the pauses, the excitement in the keynote? Will it be able to do that? I'm not so sure. I mean, some proponents of that in that space will say, of course it will eventually, but it's kind of like, when you're watching something that's AI generated, you look at it and you just go, it's just not quite right.
Yeah. Well, graphic recording it used to be like, I would get much more inquiries for like, oh, we'd like to document the conversation, therefore we need a graphic recorder. And since, AI meeting summaries and all that, that's not really a function we need to serve anymore. And I think that's okay, because graphic recording was never really about that. That wasn't, if you want me to come, I could just be taking normal notes. It's really about capturing the essence and, the ideas that echo in the room and seeing how it resonates with people and then weaving them together, and not about capturing as much as possible, which AI is good at, I won't deny that.
It's different. It's different. That's not what they're asking for. They're not asking for you. If they wanted that, they'd just use Note Taker and off they go, and that'd be fine. But Note Taker isn't going to do what it is that you do. I think that's really interesting. I was just actually, when you said that, and how's your doodling going? It's kind of like, for those of us that are in technology, we get a lot of questions from family members saying, hey, my phone isn't doing this. And
oh, no.
Like, I know so many people is like, I work in technology, so therefore you must know how my phone works. So, same sort of thing. It's that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just Julia's little hobby, isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
I bought you a house, that little hobby.
Yeah.
It's totally. And I think, yeah, it is extraordinary to see the power of a good drawing, isn't it? It really is extraordinary. And you know how those sort of drawings. I mean, certainly some of the drawings on your website really stick with me. The one about it takes a village. I think that's just incredible. I think it's really awesome. So, what would you like to see happen with your innovation now? Where would you like to see it go, Julia?
Yeah. Well, I touched on this a bit, but the truth is, I just realized as I was thinking about this that most of my clients have never worked with an artist before. So I almost like create work from nothing. Like I've almost never had a client who was like, oh, we've tried graphic recording before. It's always like, well, we'll follow your lead on this because we've never worked with an artist before. And so that means that there must be so much work out there. So I would love more companies to embrace it, because as I said, some companies have been using this for 50 years every year, and some have never heard of it. And most often when I introduce myself, I start like I did now, you know, from the beginning. And so I would love more people to be able to do this, and especially remotely and digitally. It's so easier on artists too, and event organizers too. So it could be a very smooth thing to introduce this to much more events and conferences.
I'd love to see
Absolutely.
it. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, now we're at that point in the podcast. Drum roll, please. So, Julia, as you know, for all of our guests, we ask the same final question, and we would love your thoughts. If you found yourself awake in front of aliens bent on destroying the planet, how would you convince them not to in 25 words or less?
Thank you for this wonderful question. I did some soul searching. Yeah. Before I answer, I recently came across like sort of a quote. It was that, you know, if you had the same ideas and feelings in your head that your enemy does, you would want to do the same things that they do, if that makes sense. So, for example, when, you know, you have like political misunderstandings with someone, you just need to remember that if you had the same set of ideas and thoughts, then you would want to act like they do. So this leads me to, I need to change their minds, right? And how do I do that? Like when I'm like in a bad mood, what do I do that lifts my spirit? Because that's what we need there. They want to destroy our earth. So here's what I would do. Here's my 25 words. I'd say, we're not all bad. People are awesome. Let me prove it to you. Give me a day. And I would focus on human talent. So showing off what we as an earth have to offer here. Like art and great music and good food and sportsmen and dance. And if that doesn't work, I would, you know, show off some natural wonders, but then my partner pointed out that they might have cooler planets, so that might not work, might not impress them with. If that doesn't work, I would probably, you know, show them some baby animals or something, that's desperate measures. But that's pretty, I think I would focus on human art and how awesome we are as humanity and how many things we're capable of, because that's our greatest asset here.
I love it. I love that.
Awesome.
You're so right.
Awesome.
It's that creative, and it doesn't matter if you are I find even tech programmers, they are creative in their own sphere of influence, right? We are all creative in our way, and yes. I think that is beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Aww.
Thank you, Julia.
Awesome.
I love that.
You know, I was thinking, what lifts my heart when I'm feeling down, and of course it's music and art and theater, and you know, so it has to work on them.
Definitely behavior change, absolutely. That's a really great one. Awesome. Thank you for joining us on Techcentric Planet. I would like to thank Julia Bakay and my co-host Mary Beth Hosking.
Join us for our next episode where we tease out another amazing innovation designed to help humanity. And remember, if you've thought of a problem, chances are someone out there is developing a solution for it. Bye.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.